Yep. So, sorry guys, I'm not recorded the session previously. Okay. I can explain you the plan so that you can easily understood. Okay. So, so just in case if you're working in a on real-time company, okay. So data which is not available in your local mission, you won't get the data directly into your missions. Okay. So either you have to load the data from the databases. So different kind of tasks you might have it in a real time. Okay. Load the data from the databases or data warehouses. Okay. This is one task. Or else load the data into, you will get different kind of emails. The email, it might be consisting of different files. Okay. Different kind of transactional data. Okay. The data we have to load into the database. That is also one task. Okay. Now, my task is that now my task is that I want to load the data into the database. Okay. Before you're loading into the data into the databases, you should have a table, right? Okay. So if you want to load the data from the databases, usually the data which is stored into the table format only, or in table only. Okay. So you should have a table, right? Okay. So before load the data into the databases, you should have a table. So my task here, the first task is that based on, okay, as with referenced on the, okay, excel data based on the excel data. Okay. Creating the table in sql server database. Clear? Have you got this idea? I mean, have you got this particular task? Did you got my task or no? Say yes or no.
Oh, yeah,
So
I understood.
Yes, sir.
I'm not talking
Abhijit.
about load the data from the databases. That I can do after, after you load the data into the databases, then after we can try to load the data from the database. Okay. But so as of now, I don't have any database. I don't have any table. Okay. I have only Excel data. I have only this data. Okay. This data, I want to create the table or I want to create the database in this particular SQL server. Okay. And I don't want to use any scripts. I mean, I don't want to use any SQL queries. I don't want to execute the SQL queries with a SQL Server Management Studio. I want to use the Python programming language. Okay, I want to use the Python programming language, and with reference of this table, I want to create the table in SQL Server. Okay, okay. So my primary task is that creating the table as for SQL data, okay, and in SQL Server database. After that one, load the data into databases. Okay, this is the two things we would like to do that in this particular session. Okay, so when you start working, so without this task, I think so you never, I think you don't have any kind of you don't need to start. I mean, without these things, it's impossible to start working off in a company. Okay, so it's a basic task and a common task in a companies, and maybe it could be regular task also. Okay, so when you're working with the financial data, so I mean, when you're working with the banking company, okay, so when you're working with the banking company, so so there it could be lot of transactional data can be created, right? That transactional data, it will comes to you in a different sources, and that all the entire data we have to load into the data warehouses. Okay, by the time this specific task, it could help you. Or else if you want to do automate your task, then we can use the Python programming language. Okay, that's a one regular scenario I'm taking. Okay, and yep. So let me go for creating this let me go for finish this particular task. Okay, see guys, for loading the data, or we are for loading the Excel data, for loading the CSV data from your local or different different situations. Okay, loading the data from your local server or dev environment, usually we are using the Pandas. Okay, this is for data manipulations. Okay, data pre-processing. So if you want to do that data pre-processing, when you're working with as a machine learning engineer. Okay, before we do applying the machine learning on your data. Okay, before we build any machine learning models, okay, so data processing is the primary task, and it's the second step in a life cycle of the data science actually. Okay, for that one, we are using a Python library. I think everyone know about Python models and packages, right? Okay, I already explained in our core Python or basic Python. The time I explained that how we can create your own modules and packages, and how we can able to load the packages, and how we can use it. That I already explained or not?
Yes, Sanjay.
Okay, so that thing only I'm repeating here. So I would like to go for import the pandas. Pandas is one of the package or else library. Okay, so basically this library will help you in real time for data processing purpose, data pre-processing or data manipulation, data cleaning or data wrangling. Okay, that kind of scenarios we can use it. Data wrangling. Okay, and data wrangling and data pre-processing, and so this is data cleaning. You will get this kind of terms when you're working as like data scientist or data analytics. You will get this kind of names for doing these things with the help of the Python programming language. So we have one of the semi predefined packages there, which is the pandas. Okay, and this is for PYODBC. ODBC, PYODBC, Oracle Database abbreviation, abbreviation for PYODBC. So we open source Python model to make the ODBC databases simple. Okay. So ODBC databases, we might have it like Oracle or else SQL Server. Okay. So for connecting of those things, it implemented in DB API 2.0 specification, but it is packed for everyone. Okay. Python ODBC is a model allows to organize the code logically that make it easier to understanding use. PYODC model allow the connecting to the data sources from the Python on Windows, Mac or Linux, both 32-bit and 64-bit. What is the use of the PYODBC? PYODBC, one of the library of the Python. It will help you for connecting of data sources. I mean, it can help you to connecting the databases, ODBC related databases. You can connect. Clear, clear or not? And it's open
Yes,
source. You don't need to pay anything. Actually, you simply start working on it. Okay, so it is giving some kind of APIs. API means application program interface. It might be giving some kind of APIs. With help of those APIs, we can connecting to your database servers. Okay. Yep. Now, so okay, where it is. Okay. Yep. So okay, fine. Now, so I just want to tell you about this one. Just one second. Guys, can you wait for 2 minutes? Actually, I was in the middle of something. It's a Monday, right? A lot of other things are going on parallelly. Just wait a minute.
Okay, Anju.
Sorry, guys. Actually, today, things are going on parallelly. Okay, sorry for inconvenience. So, PY is the one library. Okay, so this library, is there anyone in the waiting? All right. Okay. Okay. So this library will help you for connecting the various databases, ODBC related databases. Okay. So database operations or database connections or database APIs using for that one we can import the PYODBC. Okay. Now, so this is my path. So my local file, which is available in this location, right? In the C drive, C drive. And so this is the path: C drive, user, engine, desktop, and my files, learning, all data science projects, and the project folder and the file name. Okay, this is my file name. Okay, this is my file name with the path. Okay, and why I'm giving that here R is, in Windows or Python, single slash, which is not a single slash. When you written the two slashes, which indicating that single slash. So when I mention that R, then that time this is a single slash. It could be working same like a single slash only. Okay. So it might be different databases, or sorry, different operating systems. In case of Mac or Linux, it is not for a backward slash. You might have the backward slash. Okay, so instead of getting that kind of trouble, we are using the R over here. Okay, if I'm using the R before starting the string, if you have any special character, it can be work like a special character only. Okay, so if I'm giving this a file name or file path to this read underscore, this is the function. This is the read underscore Excel function. It can help you to read the Excel data from your local files. Okay, this is my file name with the path. From this particular location, the file name is, what is the file name? Data train, datatrain.xlsx. This is the my file. Okay, this is the file I am reading with help of read underscore Excel. So this is the function which is available in Pandas library. Pandas library, I'm importing with the name of PD, so that PD dot read underscore Excel. Okay, if I'm giving that specific file path or file name, then if the file is existed, then it can be read. That data will be available in one object. Usually the name of the object, we are calling it, say, data frame. Okay, so if I'm using the header, and it will returns the first five records. First five records. Okay, returns the first five records. Okay, so 0 to 4. So this is our first five records. Okay, these five records, you will read it. You will read. I mean, you will return it actually. Okay, you're just returning. You're not doing anything. So this is the data frame which is available, entire data from this particular Excel. Okay. So this is Excel, right? This Excel data, now you are loading into your Python program. Okay, you read that entire data. So how many number of records we have it, if you want to know it, or how many data we have it, if you want to know it, then simply we can use df info. If I'm giving the info, it can be returns the what is the data type. Each year we have totally 11, 11 columns are there, 11 observations, 11 fields are there. The first field is airline, and the type of data which is holding is object. Object means here new characters type. Okay, in Python pandas, object indicating that it's a character data. And date of journey. So yes or no, it's a date of journey or not. Second column is the date of journey, right? Okay, date of journey. And third column is source. So fourth column is destination. Like that, which is reading that this specific columns, and how many observations we have it. So how many number of observations we have it. Here it is showing you like 10,683 observations we have it. 10,683 observations we have it. 10,683 observations we have it. Okay, this all observations we read. Okay, and we are holding into one name. The name of the that particular data object is, it's a df means data frame. We can give it any name. Okay, now our aim is that I would like to go for creating the table with this columns. Okay, with this columns and with this data types. I want to create the database table. I want to create the database and I want to create the table. Okay, in SQL Server. Now I'm not creating that database. Okay, just 1 second. Yep. So now, see, before you are creating the database, and you can create the database from the Python programming language, or else you can create the database from the SQL server. Okay. I create the airline DB in my SQL server. Okay. So I'm just creating the database. I'm just creating only database. I'm not creating any tables over there. Okay. So airline DB I'm created. Okay. Now my intuition is that, so from this particular airline DB, okay, into this particular airline DB, okay, I want to go for creating the table with reference of this specific columns. So program is very simple, guys. Okay. So here we have this column name and this data type, right? Here it is 10 things, right? Here we have 10 columns. For example, if my data set, it might have the 10,000 records. Okay. Or sorry, 10,000 fields. Is it possible to write everything in by handy? Tell me, guys. Is it possible
Not
to write
so.
everything in a by handy? No, right? It's impossible, right? Okay, for if we have a 10,000 columns, if the Excel sheet which might having the 10,000 columns, it's highly impossible to write everything into by handy. Okay, so I want to create the script for that. So before that one, what I can do actually, I have to go for connecting. I have to connecting from this Python to this SQL server. How should I connect? How should I connect? So the PYODBC, which is providing the function, which is a connect function. Okay. So here driver is SQL server. So we are working with the SQL server, right? So that it's a SQL server, and the server name is localhost SQL Express, right? Yes or no? So when we are opening the Microsoft Explorer, okay, and Object Explorer here, if you connect this one, here we are getting this server type is data engine, and server name is localhost SQL Express, right? And authentications are Windows authentication, right? Okay. And see, same way we are connecting from the Python programming language. So here you're connecting with the SQL server, and the server name is localhost express, and database, you're connecting the database is airline DB, which is already created previously, and trusted connection is S. So trusted connection is S in the sense, so your database server and your Python both are in the same location. That means you're running your Python program and your SQL server both are in a same servers. That situation, this line it can be work. But in real time, your server is different location and your developer, you are working with a different location, right? Okay, then how we can handle it? So here we can give you like in a SQL server name, and a database, but here username and password. This is the credentials. So as a developer, you might have some kind of DB credentials. That DB credentials, with help of this DB credentials, we can connect from your Python to your SQL server. Clear? But so my SQL server, which is my SQL server and my Python program, both are running the same server, so that I'm executing the second line. So yes, so I'm connected. It was executed and it was connection is done. Once connection is done, if you want to performing anything on your, if you want to performing any kind of operations on your Oracle Airline DB, then you should creating the cursor. If you don't have a cursor, you cannot work. You cannot work on Airline DB. Okay, so create cursor. After that one, so here we have the different objects, right? Different type of data types we have in Python. So here I'm just mapping that. Here I'm creating the dictionary. I think in Python programming language we have a dictionary data type, right? With help of dictionary data type, I'm mapping that in case of pandas object. Okay, in database the name each is different data type, which is the varchar. Okay, in pandas it's integer 64, but in SQL, which is the int. In pandas, it was float 64 that we can representing in a SQL server. It's a float. So bool, it was representing with bit. And the date time is 64. You can represent it with the date time. Okay, we are mapping with the date time. And time delta, which we are represented with the big int. Okay. So this way, you're mapping your database and your pandas data type to SQL database. Okay, clear. Okay. After that one, now here I would like to go for creating the table name is. I would like to go for creating the table name is. Okay. Here we can give the any name. It may be user input. The table name we can give you any name. So here airline price is my table name, and so for creating the table, what is the schema? What is the syntax? Tell me anyone in SQL syntax. Can you tell me anyone, please? SQL query for table creation. Table creation. Tell me, guys. Create table name.
Create database. Yeah, create table.
Table
Table.
name. Okay. So the here the table name, it could be anything, right? Okay. And then after, and so you can give anything here, or else open parenthesis and closed parenthesis, right? Okay. And here column name one, and data type, right?
Data type.
Comma.
Yes.
Column name two,
Data type.
data type two, right? Everything it could be separated with
Yes.
comma or not. Okay.
Yeah.
Column name. So just for understanding purpose, I'm just writing only two things. Okay. This is the SQL query for creating. This is the syntax for creating this table in SQL. Okay. Same thing I'm writing in a Python. Okay. So F indicating that it's a like if you're writing anything, it may be getting some kind of issues when you're writing something. Okay. So won't get that kind of confusions. That's what the reason I'm giving that F here. And create a table. Okay. So this is a variable. So this is one variable within the curly braces. And if you're giving the variable, then the data what we have in that particular variable, that it can be replaced. This entire thing, it could be replaced with the data what we have in this particular one. Okay. So that create table, and within the curly braces, if I'm giving the variable, then it means that it's a airline price. Okay. So create a table, airline price, and open parenthesis. Okay. In last, we have the closed parenthesis. In between that one, what I'm doing actually, with help of the df dot columns, here we have a data frame is df, right? Here we have a data frame. Df is my data frame, right? I want to access this column, I want to access this column, I want to access this column. Then we have df dot columns is there. So for understanding purpose, what I can do, I can tell you what exactly the df column which can be written. Okay. Df dot columns, this is one pandas attribute. Okay. Sorry. Df dot columns. So it can be returns the airline one, that means column names. Okay. So df column, which is returns the column names from the that particular Excel. So first iteration, which can be holding the airline. For second iteration, it can be holding the second column. For third iteration, it can be holding the third one. That means every time the column is updating the columns from this particular data frame. Okay. Now, I want to know that what could be the data type of, what is the data type of, you know, what is the data type of mm, one specific, I want to know that what is the data type of one specific column. So simply we can use this one, right? Okay. So it's a O indicating that it's an object. Okay. So for example, I'm just giving that a phrase here. If I'm giving the phrase, what it was written, it's a 64 or not. Okay. So this way it was written the data type. Each and every column data type, it can be written with help of D type. So these two things only I'm using over here. Okay. So every time I'm taking the column, and so I'm creating the pandas. This can be pandas data type. So it can be written the data type of this particular column in pandas. Okay. So here we have the data type mapping get function is there. In SQL, sorry, in dictionary, if you want to access one specific value, with help of the key. So if you're giving the pandas data type to this particular function, okay, it will returns the SQL data type. The reason is that here we are creating the data frame, or here we are creating the dictionary, which is data type mapping. For pandas data type, the SQL data type is this one. For pandas 64, SQL is int, right? So this way you're mapping, right? So with help of the get function, we are getting the SQL data type. Okay, so if in case if the panda data type it is not bound inside of the data type mapping, then it can be written to the by default is var max, okay. So this is the way we are taking the SQL data type from the, we are converting your pandas data type to SQL data type, okay. Then after creating table, and so here we are have the create table and table name, right? So and space and what we call open parenthesis. You're adding the column and a data type and comma and space. So every time you are adding the column and column and data type comma column name data type this is the way we are adding. So how many number of columns we have it, that all columns and all data types we are adding to this particular string. At last, we have the comma and space is there, right? That I want to remove. If you want to remove that one, we can use this strip or strip. With if I'm using this function, so if the left side and right side, if we have this kind of pattern, if we have it, then it can be removed. Once if it is removed and we're adding that no open parenthesis, and so this is the way you're creating the string. Okay, so now we have the create. I just wanna show you what exactly the create table SQL is there. Okay, so which is the query? So it's a SQL query. So create a table name, create a table name. Okay, and column name and a data type, and a column name data type, column name data type, column name data type, like that. How many columns we have it? That all column names and data type query we created. So with help of this script, you creating the SQL query for creating the table, okay, with the reference of your Excel data. So this is the thing, this is the query, this is same like a SQL query or not? Chiru?
Yeah,
This is same like a
yeah.
SQL query,
Look
right?
like same
This
code.
is a SQL
Yes.
query I want to be execute on my SQL Server. For execution of SQL Server, you have the cursor. So if you want to performing anything on your database, you have a cursor here.
Mm.
To this particular cursor, with help of this cursor, we have execute function is there. So this execute function, it can be executing the SQL queries. If you want to be execute any SQL query, okay, from the Python programming language, so we have execute function is there from the cursor. So cursor dot execute and followed by the SQL query. So if it is executed, so you're executing from the Python, right? But it is not affected on original SQL server. To affect on your original SQL server, we can use the committing to the database server. So if you're not executing this last statement, even you're executing the query, you will be getting the results, but it is never committing, which is never affecting on your original database. That means you're saving your data into the database. Okay, that means your whatever the query you are executed, which means that if you're committed, that means it's 100% correct. So I'm ready to commit it. Once if you commit it, then it will affect it on your original database server. Okay.
Yeah.
Then after close the server and we are closing the connection. Okay, so once if you're coming, once if your operations are done, make sure that you have to close your cursor. After that one, your connection also. Once if you're losing the connection, that means again we have to execute this one SQL. If you want to connect the same database, again this statement we should execute it. Okay, if you're not closing this connection, again we can create cursor and again we can operate it without any connectivity. So once if you're connected, we can perform anything until unless you close. Okay, this is same like a file operations or not?
Yes. Yes.
So mostly it's a file
Mhm.
operations, and that's what the for today's session, guys. So I hope, I think so, you guys are get some information regarding
Yeah,
about
understood.
us, and it's a very important, guys. In real time, generally, you will get this kind of tasks only. Okay, so by the time of working, you might be getting lot of errors, and as a developer, you have to rectify it. But if you're creating the script your own way, okay, so you can automate the same script 100 times. After 10 days you're getting the same task, so you have a script, right? The script we can execute it within 1 hour, we can finish it your task. Okay, so that way you
Yes.
can able to effectively work on your environment, work environment. I hope you clear, and hopefully you got somewhat information, and let's meet by tomorrow for continuation of the rest of the class. Okay, yeah, bye. Tomorrow we'll see that loading the data into the database. So today you're creating the table, right, with the reference of Excel. Now the data what we have in Excel that you're loading into the your database, and then what I can do, I can explaining that what we call SQL queries also we can execute, like loading the data, inserting the data into the database. That query we can execute, and with help of the Python, we can write this Excel data into that specific database server. Okay, or table. Okay. After that one,
Mhm.
we can talk about constraints.
Okay.
Okay. Take care. Bye.
Okay, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Anjan. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhu.